Every battle you'll ever fight begins first in your mind. Before a crisis shows up in your job, your finances, or your relationships, it's already taking shape in your thinking. But the same place where problems begin is also the place where victories are born. If you train and educate your mind, no obstacle can keep you down, because your greatest power to overcome anything is already inside you. Your greatest asset in life is not what you own, but what you know. Everything you see around you, inventions, solutions, movements, started in someone's mind before it appeared in the world. Yet most people try to change their life by changing their surroundings, forgetting that the real change must begin within. If you want to overcome anything, you must first educate your mind. Your mind is the central command of your life. Every decision you make, every habit you develop, every relationship you build, every opportunity you seize or miss, begins as a thought. This is why renewing the mind is the starting point for every lasting transformation. Many people try to change their life by changing jobs, locations, or relationships. But if their thinking remains the same, they eventually recreate the same problems in a new environment. True and lasting change always begins with how you think. Renewing your mind is like upgrading the operating system of your life. Once the system is upgraded, everything you run functions better, faster, and with fewer breakdowns. When you renew your mind, you begin to see yourself and your circumstances differently. A person who thinks of themselves as powerless will interpret every challenge as a threat, while a person who understands their own inner power will interpret challenges as opportunities to grow stronger. This shift does not happen automatically. It happens intentionally. It requires you to question the old beliefs you have inherited from your past, your environment, or your failures, and to replace them with truths and principles that empower you. As you feed your mind with empowering information, you reprogram your internal dialogue from "I can't" to "I can find a way", from "this is the end" to "this is a beginning", from "I am stuck" to "I am learning". Renewing the mind creates inner power because it changes the source from which you live. Most people try to live from external motivation, praise, approval, or circumstances, but an educated, renewed mind lives from internal conviction. When your thinking is renewed, you are no longer easily swayed by trends, fear, or pressure. You begin to think from principles, not from panic. This inner stability becomes a quiet power. People will notice you are calmer under pressure, more strategic in crisis, and more hopeful in setbacks. This is not because life has become easier, but because you have become stronger inside. Think of your mind as the soil and your thoughts as seeds. If you never cultivate the soil, weeds of fear, doubt, and negativity will grow automatically. But if you intentionally plant seeds of knowledge, hope, and vision, you will reap a harvest of confidence and clarity. Renewing the mind is this daily cultivation. You wake up every day and decide what thoughts you will water, what beliefs you will uproot, and what values you will reinforce. Over time, your mental garden becomes a place of strength rather than a battlefield of confusion. This inner power is not loud or aggressive. It is steady and consistent. It shows up when you are faced with difficulties. Instead of panicking, you pause and think. Instead of blaming, you ask, "What can I learn? What can I do differently?" Instead of quitting, you adjust your strategy. This is the behavior of a renewed mind. The more you practice it, the more it becomes your natural response, and the stronger you become internally. Renewing your mind also breaks the cycle of self-sabotage. Many people know what they want but keep undermining themselves because their internal thinking is programmed for failure. They get an opportunity but think they're not good enough. They start something but expect it to fail. They meet new people but assume rejection. This mental programming is often unconscious, but its results are visible. When you renew your mind, you rewrite this programming. You teach yourself new mental habits, to expect progress, to anticipate solutions, and to believe in your capacity. As your inner power grows, your outer life begins to align with it. This process is not a one-time event, but a lifelong practice. Just as your body needs daily nourishment, your mind needs daily renewal. Reading, listening to empowering messages, reflecting, journaling, meditating on principles, these are the exercises that strengthen your mental muscles. Over time, you build a reservoir of wisdom and perspective that no crisis can easily drain. When storms come, you draw from this reservoir and remain grounded. Renewing your mind also has a contagious effect. When people see someone who stays calm under pressure, who speaks hope in discouraging situations, who refuses to be bitter after setbacks, they are drawn to that person's strength. Your inner power becomes an anchor for others. You stop just surviving challenges. You start leading through them. In the end, renewing your mind is not simply about positive thinking. It is about aligning your thoughts with truth, discipline, and vision so that your inner life becomes stronger than your outer challenges. This is why the first and greatest key to overcoming anything in life is not external support but internal transformation. The more you educate and renew your mind, the more you unlock the inner power that enables you to face any difficulty with clarity, resilience, and hope. An untrained mind looks at a challenge and sees only a wall blocking the way forward, but an educated mind looks at the same wall and starts searching for a door, a ladder, or a blueprint for building a new path. This is why knowledge transforms obstacles into opportunities. When you fill your mind with principles, lessons, and wisdom, you gain new lenses through which to see life. You stop interpreting every difficulty as a sign of defeat and start treating it as an invitation to grow. Knowledge does not always remove the obstacle instantly, but it gives you a map, a strategy, and the courage to act. Imagine two people facing the same setback. One has spent years learning, thinking, and developing themselves. The other has neglected their mind. The first person is likely to pause, analyze, and identify patterns or options that can lead them out of the situation. The second may feel stuck, overwhelmed, or paralyzed because they lack the tools to think differently. This difference is not about intelligence but about preparation. An educated mind is like a toolbox filled with the right instruments. When a problem arises, you can reach for the right tool, adapt, and move forward. Knowledge also changes your perspective on pain. Without understanding, pain feels pointless and cruel. With understanding, pain becomes a teacher. The lessons you learn from a challenge become principles you can apply to future situations. For example, a financial setback can teach you about budgeting and resilience. A broken relationship can teach you about boundaries and communication. A career disappointment can teach you about patience and preparation. The educated mind collects these lessons and turns them into strategies. Rather than running from pain, it extracts meaning from it. This is why continuous learning is essential. Life does not wait for you to be ready. Challenges appear without warning. The more you prepare your mind in advance, the less likely you are to be crushed by sudden change. Reading, studying, observing, and reflecting are ways of building mental reserves. These reserves give you options and creativity when others feel cornered. Knowledge allows you to see patterns others miss. It helps you ask better questions and find hidden opportunities inside problems. An educated mind also develops flexibility. Without knowledge, people tend to think in rigid blackhand, white ways. When their plan fails, they feel lost. But with knowledge, you realize there is rarely only one solution to a problem. You become comfortable adjusting your approach, experimenting, and learning from mistakes. This flexibility turns setbacks into stepping stones. Each time something does not work, you collect information about what might work next time. In this way, every obstacle feeds your growth. Knowledge further gives you confidence. Fear often grows in the unknown. When you don't understand a situation, your imagination fills the gap with worst-case scenarios. But when you study, prepare, and understand, fear loses its grip. You may still feel uncertainty, but you have a framework for navigating it. This confidence is not arrogance. It is quiet assurance that you have the ability to learn and adapt. That assurance alone can give you the courage to take action when others freeze. Another hidden power of knowledge is anticipation. When you consistently educate your mind, you begin to see trends before they fully emerge. You start noticing early signals of change and can position yourself ahead of time. Instead of reacting to crises, you are prepared for them. This anticipation reduces stress and increases effectiveness. Opportunities often come disguised as problems. The educated mind recognizes them and acts before others even see them. Transforming obstacles into opportunities through knowledge also requires humility. You must be willing to admit you don't know everything and be open to new ideas, perspectives, and mentors. Many people remain stuck not because the opportunity is absent, but because they think they already know enough. An educated mind stays teachable. It listens, observes, and applies. This humility accelerates growth because you are constantly adding new tools to your mental toolbox. In the end, knowledge is more than information. It is the ability to interpret, connect, and apply what you've learned to real life situations. This applied knowledge is what turns a challenge into a breakthrough. When you invest in your learning every day, you are not just filling your head with facts. You are training your eyes to see possibilities and your hands to build solutions. Over time, your mindset shifts from "I hope this works" to "I will learn what I need to make it work." That shift is the bridge between obstacles and opportunities. Discipline of thought is one of the most powerful forms of mental education because it shapes how you respond when life presses you. Many people assume that mental strength is about memorizing facts or collecting information. But true mental strength comes from the ability to control, direct, and refine your thinking under pressure. Information without discipline is like a powerful engine with no steering wheel. It can move, but it has no control. When you discipline your thoughts, you train your mind to remain steady, focused, and purposeful, even when everything around you feels unstable. Every challenge in life creates noise, fear, anger, doubt, and distraction. Without disciplined thinking, that noise takes over your decisions. You might lash out when you should be calm, quit when you should persist, or ignore an opportunity because you are overwhelmed by emotion. Educating your mind includes learning how to pause before reacting, how to question your first impulse, and how to align your response with your values rather than your mood. This habit of mental discipline becomes a shield. It doesn't mean you suppress your emotions. It means you learn to guide them so they serve you instead of sabotage you. A disciplined mind also has the ability to focus deeply. In a world of constant distraction, focus is rare and therefore powerful. People who can sustain attention on a goal, a problem, or a skill gain an advantage over those who scatter their energy. This focus is not automatic, it is trained. Just as an athlete trains their muscles to endure, you train your mind to stay with a problem until you understand it, to practice a skill until you master it, to reflect on an idea until you see its implications. Over time, this focused discipline makes you resilient because you no longer need immediate results to stay motivated. You have built the patience to keep working even when the reward is delayed. Discipline of thought also gives you clarity in crisis. When difficulties arise, people often rush into decisions or get stuck in paralysis. A disciplined thinker has learned to slow down internally even when events are moving quickly externally. They ask, what is really happening? What are my options? What principle should guide me here? This inner dialogue creates space between stimulus and response, and in that space lies wisdom. That space is where you make choices that align with your goals instead of choices you regret later. Another benefit of disciplined thinking is consistency. Success in any area rarely comes from one dramatic act. It comes from small, repeated actions over time, but the human mind naturally seeks novelty and shortcuts. Without discipline, you jump from one idea to another, one habit to another, never staying long enough to reap the benefits. Mental discipline teaches you to commit to a path, to keep learning even when it feels boring, and to maintain habits even when motivation fades. This consistency builds endurance, and endurance turns potential into achievement. You also learn to manage the stories you tell yourself. Every setback generates an internal narrative. I'm not good enough. This always happens to me. Or this is too hard. A disciplined mind notices these stories, challenges them, and replaces them with truthful, constructive alternatives. I'm learning. This is an opportunity to grow. I can try another approach. Over time, these disciplined narratives rewire your emotional responses. You no longer spiral into defeat when something goes wrong. You recover faster and adapt more effectively. Mental discipline does not make you rigid. It actually makes you more adaptable. Because your thinking is steady, you are not thrown off by every unexpected change. You can adjust your plan without losing your sense of direction. This balance between steadiness and flexibility is what allows you to endure hardship without breaking, and to seize new opportunities without losing focus. Building this discipline is a daily practice. It may involve journaling your thoughts, meditating on principles, setting aside time for reflection, or deliberately practicing patience in small things so you are stronger in big things. Each practice is like a mental workout, strengthening your ability to hold your focus, manage your reactions, and think clearly under stress. Just as physical exercise builds stamina, mental discipline builds endurance. In the end, the discipline of thought is not about suppressing your humanity, but about harnessing your full potential. It is the foundation on which knowledge becomes power and vision becomes reality. Without it, you may have good ideas but lack the stability to execute them. With it, you develop the resilience to keep going when others give up, the patience to grow steadily, and the clarity to make wise decisions even in the midst of chaos. This is why educating your mind must go beyond information and enter the realm of disciplined thinking. Because it is that discipline that will carry you through challenges and turn endurance into triumph. Educating your mind is not simply about gathering facts or mastering skills. It is about aligning your thinking with your deepest sense of purpose so that every choice you make carries intention. Without purpose, knowledge can become scattered, reactive, and directionless. You might work hard, accumulate information, or chase opportunities yet still feel unfulfilled because you are not clear on why you are doing it. When you educate your mind with purpose at the center, everything changes. Your learning becomes focused, your energy becomes directed, your life begins to move with coherence instead of chaos. An untrained mind may drift from one interest to another without considering how those interests connect to a larger calling. It may chase temporary success or approval without understanding whether that path serves its true goals. This is why aligning mental education with purpose is so critical. Purpose acts like a compass. It does not always tell you the entire map, but it points you in the right direction. When your mind knows where you are heading, it becomes selective about what it absorbs. You stop filling your head with random noise and start feeding it with principles, knowledge, and skills that move you closer to your calling. An educated mind aligned with purpose also develops the ability to anticipate. Because you are clear about your direction, you can identify which opportunities fit and which are distractions. Many people become exhausted not from lack of energy, but from scattering their energy across too many pursuits. Purposeful mental education filters out the unnecessary. It gives you the discipline to say no to good things so you can say yes to the best things. This filtering process strengthens your decision making because every new piece of information or skill you acquire is evaluated against your larger vision. When you train your mind around purpose, you also gain resilience. Purpose creates meaning, and meaning fuels endurance. Challenges feel heavier when you do not know why you are facing them. But when you are clear on your purpose, obstacles transform into training grounds. You interpret setbacks not as signs to quit, but as opportunities to refine your character and sharpen your skills. Your mental education becomes more than preparation for success. It becomes preparation for perseverance. You are not just learning how to win. You are learning how to endure, adapt, and grow so you can fulfill what you are meant to do. Another effect of educating your mind with purpose is that it expands your perspective beyond the immediate. Without purpose, thinking tends to be short-term, how to get quick results, avoid discomfort, or gain approval. With purpose, you think in seasons and legacies. You weigh choices not only by their immediate benefit, but by their long-term impact on your character, relationships, and contribution. This long view produces wisdom. It teaches you patience because you know some seeds take years to grow. It strengthens your integrity because you are less tempted to compromise for temporary gain. Purposeful mental education also awakens creativity. When you know why you are learning, your mind starts to make connections between ideas and experiences that others miss. You begin to see how different pieces of knowledge fit together into a larger pattern that can serve your vision. This integrative thinking leads to innovation. You are no longer just consuming information. You are synthesizing it into new solutions, projects, and contributions that express your unique purpose. This alignment of mind and purpose also influences how you lead and serve others. People naturally trust and follow those who radiate clarity. When your thinking is purposeful, your words and actions gain weight. You become someone whose presence inspires direction rather than confusion. This is not about controlling others, but about becoming a steady reference point in a world of uncertainty. The more you educate your mind to understand your purpose, the more you can help others clarify theirs. Building this alignment is an ongoing process. It begins with reflection, asking yourself why you are drawn to certain interests, what values you hold most deeply, what problems move your heart to act. Then you intentionally choose learning paths, mentors, and experiences that support those answers. Each book you read, each skill you practice, each challenge you embrace becomes a step toward embodying your purpose more fully. This conscious approach turns education from a passive activity into a transformative journey. Ultimately, educating your mind to unlock your purpose gives you a sense of power and peace. Power because you are equipped with knowledge and skills that directly serve your calling. Peace because you are no longer pulled in every direction by trends, fears, or comparisons. You know who you are, where you are going, and what you are preparing for. In this state, you become not only capable of overcoming obstacles, but also capable of fulfilling your highest contribution. You stop living reactively and start living intentionally, turning every lesson, every struggle, and every success into fuel for the destiny you are shaping. Every journey of growth begins and ends in the mind. When you educate your thinking, renew your inner dialogue, discipline your focus, and align your learning with your purpose, you build a foundation that no storm can easily shake. Life will always present challenges, detours, and unexpected tests. But a trained mind turns those tests into teachers, those detours into discoveries, and those challenges into chapters of transformation. The true victory is not in avoiding difficulties, but in becoming the kind of person who can face them with clarity, resilience, and wisdom. That strength does not appear overnight. It is cultivated through intentional learning, daily mental discipline, and a commitment to live from principle rather than reaction. When you make that choice, you are no longer at the mercy of circumstances. You become someone who can rise above conditions, create solutions where others see obstacles, and keep moving forward with purpose even in uncertain times. So as you leave here, remember, the most powerful investment you will ever make is the education of your own mind. Feed it with truth, challenge it with discipline, align it with your deepest calling, and watch how it transforms not only your life, but also the lives of those around you. The ability to overcome anything you face begins within you, and that power is already waiting to be developed.